Hello everyone, my name is Maruku, and today I'm going to be doing a story suggested to me by Phantomus author 3709. I'm going to try my hardest to make this story as entertaining as possible, and Phantomus, if I didn't make the story exactly what you were hoping for, then I deeply apologize. The way that you worded it kind of confused me, but at the very least, I hope that I can offer you a amazing story. But without further ado, let's get started. The year is 20XX. Civilization, up until a certain point, was very flourishing. It was flourishing, it was strong and prominent. And humans even started developing a type of power called a quirk, a genetic mutation in the blood that caused them to have such uncanny and amazing abilities. Most of them use their greater intelligence to create amazing marvels of the future. Some of them have even gone as far as to become pro-heroes. But unfortunately, in a unknown amount of time previous, some scientists around found a intriguing specimen, something that they had never seen before. And they decided to study it, not knowing that this specimen that they had deemed to be an intriguing find would undoubtedly cause their inevitable end. These incredible things that they had found were marvels of scientific technology. Compared to all the technological advancements, these things that they found were like extraordinary. Nothing could compare to them. And the scientists in question that had found these things, these cells, deemed them to be named oracle cells. They had found that it very intriguing. They've done plenty of experiments going along with these cells, trying to figure out exactly what the benefits of them could potentially be in modern quark society. Though, as time went on, disasters struck. These oracle cells, as they've called it, that they had found deep within the earth were not the only deposit of them. These cells, they worked almost like a hive mind, one eating the other in an attempt of dominance, with a very special one in the very center called the core. This core acted as the brain of the organism itself that held all of them together, kept them tightly bound to each other, working in unison. And over time, these other clusters that had emerged had been founded and brought with them very disturbing findings. Some of them look like mutated like things, like fish that had weirdly adjusted teeth. Some of them had distorted bodies. And in America, there was one that was found made up of these oracle cells that looked like a dog. As time went on, these creatures and the like were found to be very disturbing, very unsettling even. And as time went on, trying to figure out exactly what these things were and what they could do to stop them, it was discovered that these things could not be normally hurt by conventional everyday weapons. And when that didn't work, people, or more specifically, the heroes, started stepping in whenever there was a problem, and eventually these creatures that were made up of all these oracle cells that the government had deemed to be named origami started to, shall you say, develop an immunity to some quirks. The quirks that were used against them did not have a prominent effect. It hardly hurt them at all. But in an attempt to kind of mitigate and relieve this issue, the scientists found a way to turn these oracle cells into usable objects. Now, unfortunately, these weapons would not be perfected until a scientist named David Shield had stepped in to start creating what was called God Arcs. Now, the first generation of God Arcs went to as many heroes as possible, trying to help mitigate some damage, but as time went on, society itself was destroyed. Buildings were toppled. Entire cul-de-sacs were rampaged by these ever-growing creatures, these origami. It was horrifying and sickening. And with the passage of time trying to create more and more ways to deal with these origami, the entirety of society had collapsed, needing to be bound to shelters, bound to closed off kind of communities in order to preserve life itself. Now, the differences in this are the fact that while quirks by themselves do not actually do anything to the origami, whenever wielding a God Arc, the God Arcs are able to channel quirks through them itself and make them more powerful, more versatile. And only by channeling a quirk through a God Arc may the quirk finally have some kind of power against the origami. Now, with that being said, our story is going to, now that the setup has kind of been made official, I'm going to start with Izuku Midoriya as and his life. Now, since David Shield had created these God Arcs while he was still young, the Izuku and the entirety of Class 1A as we know it had not been born yet. So when Izuku was born, his mother and father were unfortunately not in one of these safe houses, as you may call it. They were just how do I phrase this? They were jumping from building to building, kind of trying to hide, evade, and protect themselves from origami as much as they could, hoping that they would be able to find some kind of shelter, some kind of space in order for them to survive. Though unfortunately, with the amount of origami that have taken over the majority of the world, going out trying to find food and all the like has become drastically more dangerous. It's become a risk to to even try and like go from building to building. And unfortunately, during one of these days that they're trying to get as close to a safe house as possible, Hisashi Midoriya, Izuku's father, goes out trying to find some food for his beloved wife and baby boy. At this point, Izuku is maybe like a year old, and he is, and while going out, Inko is like watches after him as he runs down the street, hoping, praying and hoping for her husband's safe return. But unfortunately, he never returns. So is the risk of trying to hide from the origami. What's worse is that he almost made it. He almost got back to the building. But just as he turned the corner to the street, a large origami barreled down the street and swallowed him whole. I'm going to say that the origami that ate Izuku's father was Vajra. And Inko, seeing her husband sadly pass away like this, makes her sick to her stomach. She feels repulsed by the sight before her. She cannot help but to want to scream and cry, but she knows that if she does, the Vajra will come and kill both her and her baby Izuku. And now Izuku only has her. His father is gone now. And if Inko wants to keep her baby safe, she's going to have to swallow all the pain and sorrow that she feels within herself to protect her baby at all costs. Now, as she's getting closer and closer to a would-be shelter, I'm going to say that I'm going to make some stuff clear. Now, the shelter that Inko is heading for in specific is known to take anyone in, regardless of if they are able to use a god arc or not. Because, and it's also known to be one of the most protected shelters out there, protected by its state-of-the-art security to keep all the origami out. And Inko desperately wants to have her baby raised in a facility that will guarantee his survival, that will nurture and help him to survive. Now, I'm going to say that under these circumstances, a lot of parents, and I mean a lot, this is going to bleed into to what's going to go on later, but basically all of Class 1A, Izuku and his class, they're all going to be raised in UA. From, literally just by some chanced miracle, all 20 of these students and their parents are going to be sheltered at UA and kept safe. Now, Inko is she, now that she has lost her husband, even if she's really close to the campus, she is stressed. The woman needs a break at this point. That the stress is going to kill her at this rate. And she's trying her hardest to keep hopeful. And she's praying her heart out that if a origami ends up coming by before she's able to reach UA, that hopefully a God Eater will rescue her and her baby. Which, it goes without, for the most part, it goes without a hitch. She gets up to UA. She manages to go inside of UA. And even to have gone as far as to getting up to the giant steel gate leading into the campus. And as she's sitting there, hoping and praying, and as she's knocking on the giant metal door, a little tiny eyeball-shaped camera kind of like pops out of the wall, and it kind of like spits out a helicopter on top of it to help it float around. And it lowers itself all the way to Inko's height and says, "Oh yes, how may I help you, ma'am?" And Inko says, is there any room inside for me and my baby?" And the voice on the, I'm going to say Cyclops, says, "Of course, ma'am. But I'm going to need you to be very patient with me. Unfortunately, there have been reports of origami in the area, and we don't need them getting into the campus by accident. I assure you, you are safe. I'm sending my best personnel with their god arcs out to do the job and essentially protect you until you have safely entered the campus." And she starts bowing and thanking profusely. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You don't know how much this means to me." And the voice on the other side of the Cyclops goes, "It's no problem, ma'am. It's our job as heroes to protect civilians. You don't need to worry about a single thing." And from over the wall comes a very tired looking man. He looks exhausted as hell, like beaten down. Looks like he needs a good shave. His hair is all shaggy, and he just kind of like rappels down with what looks like a scarf. And he looks at the woman and her baby and says, "It's okay now. I'm here. Just stay behind me until the rat can let you in, and you should be good." And like, after looking to the side, he sees the Cyclops and goes, "Sorry, sir, I did not mean to call you that." And the voice says, "Oh, I'm pretty sure you did. Though I will turn the other way and pretend I didn't hear it." And the little eyeball goes back into the square-shaped hole that it flew out of. And the disheveled man turns to face the road and waits patiently as he hears a bunch of clicking and the sound of pressure being released as the door starts to open. And mind you, I tell you what, the sound of this door opening, it's basically the perfect equivalent of the dinner bell for the origami. Because a bunch of little ones, and more specifically a Vajra, comes out from around a building and sees them and starts charging them like full charge, no hesitation. And the disheveled man goes, "Oh, great. Looks like we got it. Looks like it's not my lucky day today." And he grabs the god arc that's precariously sitting on his back, and he pulls it out. Now, I'm going to say that Aizawa's God Arc is basically just a very big looking dagger. Bestly put, it's the one that's on the back of his hip, just a lot bigger and more menacing looking. But Aizawa starts walking forward and towards the Vajra, and when it gets close, he activates his quirk just as the Vajra starts to look like it's about to shoot out lightning, which weirdly makes weirdly cancels the lightning coming from the Vajra, stopping its attack entirely. And because of the inability to shoot off the attack, it kind of it stumbles a bit and falls to the ground, kind of like as if it tripped. And Aizawa takes the opportunity to wrap his scarf around one of its many protrusions and yank himself quickly towards its head, digging his giant dagger straight down its head, flipping and going after all the little ones. While this is going on, Inko is watching this go down, and she's like, "Oh my lord, that's amazing. That's spectacular. That's phenomenal." And she is just eating it up, for real. She's like, "These God Eaters, they're incredible. They're strong. No wonder they wield such amazing power." Which to most of the pro heroes would definitely stroke their ego and make them feel like they're the hot business. But nevertheless, the door finally opens enough for Inko to kind of get inside, and after a moment, Aizawa seeing that the door is about to close, he quickly jolts forward towards the door, and literally he does a running slide under the door as it's about to close. And Inko is just freaking out because she thought that he was going to get crushed, and Aizawa reassures her, "Oh, don't trust me. I do this a lot. The rat likes to try and basically lock me out for his own amusement." And Inko is the what does what now? He's like, "Just ignore me. I'm here. Let me give me a second. Let me call for one of my associates to come give you and your baby the Oracle Cell test." And Aizawa, he taps on a earpiece on his ear and goes, "Hey, power loader, I need you down here ASAP. We have a woman with a baby. We need an Oracle Cell check." And and a tiny noise comes from his headset or earpiece, and he says, "Should be any moment now." And while they're waiting there, Inko tries sees Izuku kind of wake up, doing part of all the noise and the racket, and he becomes a little bit fussy, and she kind of goes, "Oh no, Izuku, no, don't cry, it's okay, mommy's here." And she kind of presses him into the crook of her neck and starts patting his back, trying to soothe him. And Aizawa kind of after looking up towards the baby, he asks her, "How old is he?" And she tells him, "Oh, he's a year and a half old." And Aizawa smiles after hearing this, and he goes, It's we have a lot of parents with babies around here, but it's rare to see them come in with just one of them." And Inko goes, "Yeah, unfortunately, my husband, he was um, about a couple weeks ago, he was eaten by a Vajra. Aizawa closes his eyes and nods in understanding, and he puts his hand up and to kind of like placate her and say, "Go, no need to say no more. I understand. No, I I get it. There's no need for you to open that wound. Just make sure that I was just curious of what's going on." And she's like, "No, there's no problem. I understand. It's a common question to ask, so I took no offense." And like about another minute later, after Inko has gotten baby Izuku to finally calm down, Power Loader starts walking up with the Oracle Cell test scanner, and he kind of pulls off one of his metallic gauntlets, and he puts his hand out, going, "May I see your hand?" And she like offers her arm, and he does the test, and he sees negative. She not for Inko, but then like he goes like he has Inko unswaddle Izuku for a moment, and as Power Loader is like gingerly, gently holding baby Izuku's arm to test him for the Oracle Cell test, he scans and goes, "Yep, we got a positive here. He is compatible with the Oracle cells." And Inko goes, "So what does that mean?" And or like what could that pertain to? And Power Loader goes, "Well, if Izuku ever feels the need to become a God Eater, he is eligible to become one, but it's not required for him to be one. Though on the other hand, from what it looks like here, like just based off of the micro test, he looks to have a fairly good like affinity for it." And this makes Inko smile. She's really happy to hear that Izuku has the potential to be a very strong God Eater. Though on the other hand, she is kind of worried that about Izuku like going down or deciding he wants to take that path in life and putting himself at risk. But every profession has its own level of risk, and she puts the thought aside. And then Power Loader, after like finally engaging his glove back and like storing the tester in a bag, him and Aizawa escort Inko into a housing unit for survivors. And I'm gonna say that like all of the like technological advancements that UA had during the war arc are implemented now. Like literally, Nezu has been keeping all of the like underground passages and secret stuff like under the down low because he anticipated the possibility of many like world-ending tragedies, due in part that his quirk High Spec gives him a greater intelligence to kind of predict these types of outcomes. And as they're leading Inko to a housing unit, Inko spots a woman with blonde hair standing next to a man with brunette hair, with a baby in her arms, swaddled with blonde hair. And when Inko kind of like sees her, and the blonde-haired woman like turns her head and sees Inko, like their eyes lock, Inko like she loses her shit. She like runs up, going, Mitsuki, oh my gosh, I didn't. You're alive? I thought that you'd be dead by now. And Mitsuki like runs over with baby Bakugo in her arms. He goes, well, if it isn't Inko, I thought the same thing. I thought that you would have that the origami would have eaten you by now. But look at you go. You're still fit as a fiddle. And oh my, is this is this your son, Inko? And she goes, yes, this is Izuku. And she kind of like shifts her body to show Izuku, like, who is not like swaddled in her arms. And Mitsuki's like, oh my lord, he's precious. He's a precious little thing, isn't he? And Inko smiles real big and goes, yes, he is. He's my little ball of sunshine. And Mitsuki goes, and where's Hisashi? Is he here? And Inko stays silent for a moment, and then Mitsuki goes, oh, I'm sorry, Inko. She goes, don't be. It wasn't your fault. It could have happened to anyone. Truly, it could have. But all that matters is that me and Izuku lived. We managed to get here safe and sound. And Mitsuki, after hearing this, goes, Inko, if there is anything I can do, anything at all, I want to help you. You're my best friend. And as your best friend, I'm going to tell you that no one should have to raise their kid alone. Not like this. As much as it sucks that he's gone, you still have me. And I am willing to help you raise Izuku along with Masaru and my little baby Bakugo. I will help you to raise Izuku along with them. So remember, I'm always gonna be here for you, bestie. We'll get through this together, okay? Inko wipes a tear from her eye and goes, okay. And after that, like, Aizawa and Powerloader have been patiently waiting, and Aizawa goes, now that your reunion is over, I would like to continue to take you to the housing area for survivors. That way I can get you and your son settled in. And Inko like nods her head, okay, and and she continues to follow him all the way to the housing area where she finally finds herself settled in. With her baby Izuku swaddled in her arms, happy as a jaybird. After the one thing that has continued to keep her going is hearing her baby make cooing noises and giggle. His sweet smile and giggle have been her ray of light, her hope in the dark, her sunshine. It's the only thing that she has had to keep her going, and she's not going to take that for granted. Now, I'm going to say that as time has gone on, Izuku has continued to his growth and has essentially gotten to a point where I'm going to say that he has successfully grown up with each of the other students in question. He's got all of class 1A has since they're in the same grade level, they have all been in the same class since they were in pre-K. Granted, aside from everything else, there is no need for money now that society has essentially gone to crap. So there is no need for like tuitions or whatever. They're just teaching the kids to not just to help them have a brighter future. But as it has gone on, like Izuku has gotten closer with each of like his classmates since they have known each other since they were real small. And I'm gonna say that since there are a lot of kids that specifically in question, like the entirety of Class 1A is split off into a separate kind of group, like from the other kids that are their age. The one notable difference in this group from the original UA is that instead of Mineta, we have Shinzo. And I'm going to say that Shinzo's last name in this is going to be Aizawa, because no matter what, I've always liked the idea of Shinzo being like Aizawa's secret son, because it's just too cute. And they are too much alike to not, like, to ignore. But aside from that, Izuku has grown close with each of his classmates, and like in pre-K, and like they all start developing their quirks. Aside from Izuku. Izuku is, for lack of a better word, an anomaly. They can't figure out what exactly not whether he has a quirk or not, because, like, while some of the tests say that he doesn't, some of them do say that he does. They don't know what to rule him with. So they're just going to go under the assumption that Izuku is, well, quirkless, until proven otherwise. Though the difference here being that if any of the separate like cells of students have, like, every time that they have tried to pick on Izuku for being quirkless, like, I'm gonna say that the teachers involved have stepped in and disciplined each, like given each of the offending kids who have hurt Izuku's feelings a brutal tongue lashing, I'll say. Though on the other hand, it has also been done that some of his classmates that were around him have also, like, protected him whenever someone has drastically insulted the poor little green bean boy. And each of them has grown a fond relationship with Izuku. Each of them feeling very, I'll say, like, connected, like a kinship with him. None of them dislike him. Most of them, like, adore him. And, like, even some of the UA teachers find him to be adorable. Though it, like I said, it's left to be determined on how most of it will play out. And as Izuku has grown up, it has been kind of like he has shown signs of being a very intelligent kid with a lot of potential when it comes to strategizing, and even though he may not be incredibly strong, he's very flexible, very nimble, fast, and when given the opportunity, he has shown an aptitude for, like, hand-to-hand combat. Though that won't really help him much until he actually, like, gets to the point where he's able to, like, start training with a god arc. But nevertheless, it proceeds like that for a while. Just him, like, improving his his skills. Like, he does what he's good at, and he does his best with what he can do. Trying his best to, like, impress the teachers and make his mom incredibly proud. I'm going to say that most of the teachers, Aizawa included, like, I've kind of put it into him that, like whenever he does something, like, really impressive, like, they applaud him. They show him praise to kind of, like, foster that desire to want to learn more, want to do more, want to, like excel in different fields. And Izuku just, he loves the feeling of being praised by his, by his teachers. He loves the feeling of being praised by his mom. It just makes him feel all warm inside, and he can't help but feel just ecstatic, feel proud of himself, feel accomplished. And he, though, he has learned, a lot of different things, like, pertaining to how, like, things work inside of UA in all the facilities. Like, people have their own designated jobs, people have their own designated responsibilities. Technically, the civilians that they saved, they're not technically working for free, but, like, they're working to help in different, like, ways, like with manual labor or physical labor or any of the likes. Like, they semi-pick / are assigned jobs that benefit them, like benefit UA and all of its facilities, and benefit different things. Now, I'm going to say that while Island is not on the mainland, it's also technically one of the other safe areas that is known to humanity. But that place is mostly, like, used for, like, creating the God Arcs and shipping them out to, like, to the facilities that like, employ or create the God Eaters to fight and repel the Aragami forces, or the calamities of the Aragami themselves. Now, on the other hand, aside from Island, technically it's not, like, impervious to being attacked by, like, Aragami, but, like, but since it's, like, the main manufacturer for like, God Arcs, it's also still very well protected, but, like, to most extents. And it's the one thing that's leading the best research into creating a second Island that's, like, that's made from Aragami cells or cores, in order to create a second island that is a utopia, a paradise, a safe haven for all of humanity to live out their lives without having to worry about the Aragamis killing them. I think that with all of that being said, that I think I'm going to leave this test run of, like, this story here. And I do so hope that I did the story justice. And to Phantomas, I hope that it met your criteria, and that I was able to supply you with a good story. And with that being said, I'm gonna leave it here, and don't forget, the shadows are watching.